This is Orlando Sentinel Now.
Hello and welcome. It's Monday, August 9th, and this is Orlando Sentinel Now. Today we're talking about the first day of school here in Central Florida, also whether or not Florida companies can mandate vaccinations to their employees, and where you can find a really good Brazilian pizza. I'm your host, Joe Mario Pedersen, and joining me today, I have reporters Leslie Postal and Skylar Swisher, as well as food columnist Amy Drew Thompson. Thank you all so much for being here today. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. First up on deck, Leslie, coming to you for the first day of school and worries from parents about COVID cases on the rise as face mask rules seem to be falling. So, Leslie, just getting right into it about parents, what are we hearing from them about the first day of school?
Well, of course, there's a lot of division about school and face masks. But there are a lot of parents who are worried. I mean, face masks are now really strongly recommended unless you have an opt-out in both Seminole and Orange County, where classes start Tuesday. But there still are a lot of parents worried that there's not going to be enough kids wearing masks and that their child will be at risk because of that. So yeah, there's a lot of anxiety out there.
Mm. And just to be clear on where rules kind of stand right now, because there was a lot of like ups and downs and like decisions have kind of been all over the place. Where are we in Orange County and face masks?
We're in the same place in Orange and Seminole. They both said Friday and then Seminole Saturday that students must wear face masks unless their parents opt them out. So their parents can opt them out by sending a note to their teacher at the beginning of the school day on Tuesday. But otherwise, masks are expected for everyone. But there is an opt out. So of course, there are certainly going to be students who are not in masks.
Mm. You were specific to Orange and Seminole. As far as the rest of the state goes, is it skewing a little bit differently? How is it, and if so, how is it different than what medical experts might be recommending?
Well, medical experts have said universal masking. Everybody should be wearing a mask in K-12 schools, partly because there's so many children who are not eligible for vaccines, and just because the Delta variant is extra contagious, and even people who are vaccinated could be, carriers and spreading it to other people. So, the American Academy of Pediatrics, the CDC, our local pediatricians have all said everybody should be wearing masks, but that is not allowed under the state rules. So that is not going to be happening for sure.
Gotcha. And Leslie, just to top off here, as a mother, just on a personal note, if you don't mind me asking, how are you feeling about the first day of school?
I think I'm like everybody else. I'm wishing that the first day of school was going to be, quote, more a normal one and not what we look to be facing. But I'm certainly hoping for the best and hoping my kid has a good school year.
Absolutely. Certainly a lot of people on that boat, I'm sure, as you pointed out. And for those who might be feeling anxious about it and are looking for more details, be sure to take a look at Leslie's story at orlandosentinel.com. Leslie, thank you so much. Skylar, I want to come over to you now for one of your latest headlines here. Can Florida employers require workers to get the COVID-19 shot? Really interesting question here. And I'm wondering, what were you able to find on this topic?
Yeah, so in short, they are able to require the vaccine, and this actually dates back to a 1905 Supreme Court decision, Jacobson versus Massachusetts, and that dealt with the issue of vaccine mandates, and the court ruled that they are allowable to protect the public health.
Now, as far as what challengers might be saying to that, because I'm sure that there are people that aren't happy with that decision, what arguments have they brought to the table?
Well, the argument that's kind of brought to the table is that you should have the liberty to decide, whether you want to be vaccinated or not. And there are two exceptions when it comes to these employer vaccine mandates. One has to do with a valid medical reason. So you could file for that. There's also an exception for a sincerely held religious belief. And the way that this works is that you would file for what is called reasonable accommodation. So your employer would have to take some sort of action to accommodate you if you don't want to be vaccinated. So that could be, for instance, having to be tested for COVID, on a weekly basis, having to wear a mask, having to be maybe more socially distanced. So that's kind of what's in place to protect people that might have, religious or medical concerns about getting vaccinated.
Now, I'm not sure how easy this would be to determine, but I'm wondering, is this something that we're seeing from more companies? This order of more employees getting the COVID-19 vaccine.
Sure. Yeah. So it seems like companies are kind of taking a carrot and a stick approach. So Disney, Orange County government, they're mandating for non-union employees. But other employers are trying to offer some incentives. Like, for instance, the Orange County School District is offering like $200, if their employees get vaccinated. So that's kind of another approach that employers are taking, besides trying to just do an outright mandate.
Really interesting topic. And for those who are interested in finding out more, Skylar's story is also available right now at orlandosentinel.com. Be sure to take a look at it. Skylar, thank you so much.
Thanks.
All right, Amy Drew, coming to you right now. It's noon. Maybe people are already eating, or maybe they're trying to figure out what they're going to be eating later. I don't know. But if they are looking for options, we're here to talk about at least one of them, and that would be Brazilian pizza that you can find here in Central Florida. Now, before we get into where you might be able to find it, let's talk a little bit about what is Brazilian pizza.
I only heard that Brazilian pizza was a thing very recently, and I am a pizza lover, so I, of course, was like, well, I don't know what that is, but I want to try it. Now, as far as lunch goes, that's going to be a toughie because most of these places open late because it's Brazilian pizza, and Brazilians like to eat dinner on the late side. So it's very funny when you show up at these restaurants, 5, 6 o'clock, it's usually all Americans, and then by the time you leave, everybody there is Brazilian who's eating the pizza. Brazilian pizza is gorgeous and so photogenic because it is covered in toppings. In some cases, 8 toppings is the norm with these things. They're crazy.
It does sound like a really heavy slice, but as far as places to eat, you listed a couple. One that I want to ask you about, though, and correct me if I mispronounce this, 14 Beast Pizzeria.
Nope, that's pretty accurate. You got
Nailed.
it.
As far as this pizzeria goes, it seems like it has a really interesting theme going on. How'd you find them? And can you tell us a little bit about it?
Well, I just asked around within the Brazilian community that I know here, and there were a few names that came back to me a few times. So those were the places that I chose. Obviously, I wanted to go on recommendation, right? And it turns out that 14 Beasts is a newer pizzeria. It hasn't even been open that long, but they do have several restaurants in Sao Paulo. And over there, Beast means twice in Portuguese. And so it was really related to their phone number because they were mostly delivery. So they were like, oh, people will remember our phone number, 1414, the last 4 digits, which makes perfect sense, right? But it is also the name of the airplane of a Brazilian aviation pioneer. So as the chain became more prevalent back home in Brazil, people became just automatically started associating the number with the aviation thing. And so when their son came to Orlando to open the first American outlet, he decided to theme it because it's Orlando. So the restaurant should have something really special. So it's really fun when you go in there. There's an aviation theme. There's one section of the restaurant that kind of looks like the cabin of an airliner, and you can see the clouds going by the windows. And it's really nice, especially since not a lot of people are traveling right now.
That is cool. And like the pictures that are available on the story, like are really represent that really well. Really fun location. I want to get back into toppings though for a second because something really caught my eye as far as a favorite on Brazilian pizza, and that would be putting ketchup and mustard on pizza.
This is a
Really?
regional thing. This is very regional. Do not
Okay.
talk to people from Sao Paulo about ketchup and mustard on pizza. They will not have it. But over in Rio, where things are a bit more chill, they apparently, at least back in the 80s, and I don't know how prevalent it is now, but a few of the people I spoke to are from Rio, and they say, oh my gosh, when I was a teenager, I always put ketchup and mustard on my pizza. It was on the tables in the pizzerias. So you don't see that so much in America, but if you go in and you ask for it, they will know you're from Rio.
All right. I mean, I could kind of see that. I believe like there are parts of America that do similar things. I believe it's Biloxi, Mississippi, that puts Thousand Island dressing on its pizza. So I kind of understand that. That's kind of
I've
cool.
seen ranch on pizza. I've not seen that one yet. I know that there are ranch
Gotta stop
pizza
in Biloxi.
people.
Now, we mentioned 14 Beasts, but there are other places as well. Where else can people grab a slice?
You can grab one in Winter Garden at Panotti's Pizza, and all of these places do takeout. Roca's Market in Windermere is a newish place for pizza. It is a Brazilian market, but they sell pre-made pizzas that you can take home and put in the oven. And from what I understand, they're very good. I haven't tried those yet. Piefection has 2 locations, one in Orlando and one in Kissimmee. And then there's Braccia Ristorante, which is an Italian restaurant, but also Brazilian owned and has Brazilian pizza on their menu, and that's in Winter Park.
Well, there you go. Be sure to take a look at Amy Drew's column to find out more about it at orlandosentinel.com, where, of course, you can find the other stories that we talked about here today as well, and more. For those of you who are subscribed to the Orlando Sentinel, thank you so much for supporting our work and supporting local journalism. If you want to become a supporter, it's easy to do so. All you need to do is visit orlandosentinel.com/subscribe. But as for OSN, that is our show here for today. A big thank you to Leslie, to Skylar, and Amy Drew for keeping us filled in what's going on in our community. We'll be back again with more news tomorrow at noon. We'll see you then. Stay healthy and stay safe.
Watch Orlando Sentinel Now live every weekday at noon on our Facebook page and on orlandosentinel.com.